In order to adapt to AI needs, I made this a two-part video. If you haven't listened to the first part, I would suggest you listen to it first, in order for the context to make sense. As always, this is for entertainment purposes only. Use your discernment and take from this video what you may. I am experimenting with this video with AI, and you will see my face again on the next one. All of the words are mine, I just had Pictory AI craft the video. As I stated in the last one, you will personally see my face telling you I will try it again if I decide to. That avoids people claiming to be me who aren't. Now on to the rest of the story. As I said on the last video, I broke up with my first love that I lived with for 5 years. It was during the finals of the last semester of my MBA, so I finished it up, while still working full-time, and a short time later I leveraged my company moving me to DC. I will talk more about the career moves in a later video, but for now we will stick to focusing on the dissection of sexuality. It was the first time that I had lived in a big city, and it was the first time since I lost my virginity that I was single, and I had to figure out my new rules, who and how I wanted to have sex moving forward. I dated lots of men over the next series of years and had a lot of fun. I really came into my own around dating and living experiences and exploring my sexuality. While there are too many experiences to mention coming into my own, I really lived and did tons of dating. I had 3 dates in one day and let my hotel staff decide the winner, explored S&M clubs, had sexual escapades in the US Vice President's house. And no, at the time I wasn't thinking through the fact that it was on video. I was just friends with benefits with a Secret Service guy. I did tons of dating, had series of short-term and long-term relationships. I dated a guy twice. If memory serves, he is the only one I dated twice. That was a nudist. I will talk about him more later in the relationships, as we dated for about a year the first time, but he really pushed the boundaries of me being self-conscious about my body. I told you before that I liked public non-public sex, but he took it to a different level. For example, we would go out in his community to have sex on the playground equipment late at night, and he would lock us out of the house naked on purpose. Or he would loudly talk about our handcuff use when we were bed shopping for him and yell across a fancy furniture store that I needed to join him on the bed so we could make sure that the headboard worked for us. Or publicly declare how much he enjoyed our oral sex loudly at a fancy restaurant on the water in the middle of Georgetown. Every day he literally simultaneously embarrassed the shit out of me, pushed my boundaries of talking about sex, made me feel wanted and made me laugh always. He was a great time. Maybe that's why I dated him twice. I also had a friends with benefits situation for over 10 years on and off, and was always unequivocally myself with him. He was one of my best friends, confidants and lovers. And I always had good sex with him. While he belongs in the relationship video, I couldn't leave him out of this one, as he was really pivotal in me exploring my sexual needs, desires and loves. But even with him, because I wasn't confident in my body until I went through this recent journey, I still held back. I moved into a swingers neighborhood without knowing and had the experience of someone bringing me to a swingers party without telling me. I have to be honest here, I was super pissed about it, not about going to the party but about him bringing me there and not damn telling me. It took me a while to figure out that it was a swingers party, as it was just getting started and women were talking about other women and that their respective husbands were more in love with them than their wives. It felt like I was back in high school. While I am glad I experienced it, it wasn't my scene, it just felt, and for those of you who swing, go do you, and enjoy the shit out of it, but for me, it just felt like a group of people who were backstabbing to each other, and it was way too full of needs for ego boosting and external validation for me. But again, that was my experience with it. I also had numerous experiences with other people that subconsciously fucked with my sex shaming myself. My family decided together that I was traveling to Costa Rica to hire gigolos. Seeing as far as they knew I was single, I have to tell you I was pretty insulted that they thought that I would have to pay for sex. Similarly, because I was single, they at one point thought that I was involved with one of my best girlfriends and was in the closet. The most insulting thing about that was the fact that if I loved women, I would be the first one to introduce my partner and tell everyone who I loved. I am a pretty transparent person. Interestingly enough, some men that I dated acted like I was weird when I expressed my want to have public non-public sex. For example, I never got to have sex in a belly dancing place in Alexandria that had private tables with curtains around them, and acted like I was whore in some cases, and while I didn't say it out loud to them, just stopped dating them, it got in my head. I let them convince me my healthy sexual appetite somehow was bad because I wasn't a guy. Talk about society's double standards. In retrospect, now it's a shame. It was totally their loss. We could have had a great time in the belly dancing booths. The last experience that I will share is that for the first time in my life being with Hadi, I realized that I wanted to be dominated. While that was a surprise to me, I was excited to experience it. Our relationship ended before I ever got to communicate or experience that. However, it did start a little quest in Amsterdam that I will talk about in a later video. As I went through the processing and evolution of my history, family history, social fabrics and inferences, along with too many experiences to talk about in this video, I realized that I was clearing out so much mud. And once I had processed all of this along with my relationship mud on the next video, it was incredible and so freeing to be me and to love the way I love, desire and achieve ecstasy. We are sexual beings and we should be able to live our truest, authentic selves in a way that works best for who we are freely. And while not every one of you is going to want to share their own journey out loud, I would highly recommend you take a raw and authentic look at your own journey. And get rid of all the boulders that you are carrying because of what they say.